This is my Audi R8 rear-wheel drive, and this is an Audi R8 GT. Retailing in at £250,000, this is over double the price of my Audi R8. And today, we are going to start attempting to build an Audi R8 GT, but better. Believe it or not, we're halfway there already. The car has been tuned from 540 brake horsepower to 640 with an ECU tune from QST Tuning. It already sounds better than an Audi R8 GT, thanks to the brand new Miltech exhaust. And lastly, it has better fitment than the GT, thanks to the MSS suspension. Behind me on this table are the parts we're going to be fitting today, starting with the wheels. I absolutely hate the factory wheels. They're 19-inch cast alloys, they don't do the car no favours at all, and the Audi R8 GT has 20-inch forged wheels. So I've gone for a 20-inch forged wheel, but this is fully custom by a British company named 2Forge. Basically, they brought this wheel out, it's called the ZF8, and make it in a flow forged. And I said, can you do that in a forged, but then add a nice amount of concave in it, because it looks similar to the R8 GT wheel, but a little bit better. I went for black with a little yellow bit inside here, and in that way it matches up with the calipers lovely. When you're driving along the road, you should see this little bit flipping around. It should look sick, should look like Batman. Anyway, enough about the wheels. We'll talk a little bit more on that because there's a massive weight saving fitting them as well. And not only that, I'm getting rid of the factory Pirelli P0s, which are awful, and stepping up to a wider PS4S. Shout out Michelin for them. This is something I've been very excited about. This is a set of brand new TRE magnetic carbon paddles. So, as you guys probably know, if you've got an Audi R8, the factory paddles are terrible. They're identical to the ones that you would get in a Golf R. These, however, are not. So with this magnetic paddle kit, you get two options of paddles. Here is like an OEM version, and here is a slightly larger version. I'm gonna be putting these on because it means you can shift a little bit lower and a little bit higher rather than the factory small one. But these are a nice touch for someone that doesn't want to go too crazy in terms of modification, and they just want to get the sensation of wah, wah. Gonna sound absolutely amazing, can't wait to get them in. That leads me on to the next thing. Here is an OHC carbon fibre and Alcantara steering wheel, spec'd with the optional LED strip across the top. Enough waffling now, let's go get these parts on the car. Start by weighing the old one first, and that comes in at 24 kg. Let's test the forged version. So we've just got the new 2Forge wheels on. Bear in mind this is a 20-inch wheel and a wider tyre, and it's weighing in at 18 kg. So that's around a 5 kg weight saving, plus getting more grip, which is pretty insane. It's time to get the new wheel on. Still can't get over that weight difference. That is absolutely nuts. Oh, these are gonna look sick. First one on, looks 10 out of 10. Buzzing with them. So I wonder whether these will have the same weight saving on the front, because obviously these are a thinner tyre, and I've also gone for a wider tyre as well on the front. I'm gonna whip this off, get that weighed up as well, and get the new wheel on. Stock front wheel on, and give that a check. Stock front wheel is weighing in at 20 kg. Get that on, and that is weighing in at 17 kg. So we've got the last wheel going on now, and then after that, I want to drop the car down onto some ramps and see what the fitment's going to be like. So obviously this is running the MSS height adjustable suspension, and I have decked it pretty low on the 19s. So I've got to make sure the 20s don't need a little bit of raising for it. And I am going to be putting on a full body kit to this car as well, so the front end's going to get a little bit low with the splitter. So the chances are I'm going to have to raise it up anyway. So now the car's actually been dropped, fitment actually looks perfect. I don't know whether I'm going to have to raise it at all. We're now in the process of doing the steering wheel. As you can see, I've got the airbag out already. I didn't actually film that bit because the camera wasn't rolling. What you have to do first is disconnect the negative battery, put a little bit of tape around there, and essentially you've got two holes on the back of this steering wheel. Get a little pick, and then you can poke the pick inside the steering wheel, around the back of it, and almost unhook the airbag. Then the airbag is released. So I'm just going to explain this in a little more detail. Essentially, there's a little pocket of light here, which I'm covering with my finger at the top there. That's the hole. You essentially want to get your screwdriver in that hole and then depress that spring like so. And that will allow the airbag just to pop out freely. After you've done that, you then have a little clip just inside the wheel with the airbag clip on it, and the airbag is off. Now we're going to get the steering wheel off by undoing that centre bolt. Keep that in a safe place. Just give it a little wiggle carefully, and the old steering wheel's off. Now we're going to jump in there, get everything transferred over onto the new wheel and get the new pedals in. Okay, so there's been a little bit of an update. Essentially, looking at the LED steering wheel, I have left this a little bit too late with little time. We've got a fitting coming in within an hour, and this is going to require a lot more time in terms of wiring. And I don't want to rush it and have an airbag blow up in my face. So we're going to revisit fitting the LED steering wheel in the future. But for now, back to getting the magnetic paddles installed, because I can't wait to go for a little drive with the magnet paddles. Removed this bracket here, along with that, and the 4 screws surrounding the edges. After you've done that, you can give this area quite a big tug, and then this side will pop out. So now you've got this little plug just in here. I'm just going to get that unclipped. One side's out, flip it over. There we go. That means we can now get these paddles removed. The way we're going to remove these paddles are, we've got a little screw just here, got another little screw just there. So I'm going to get them whipped out and then put the new ones in. As I said earlier, these new paddles come with a small paddle and a big paddle. I'm now going to swap this one out for the big paddle because I think I prefer the bigger paddles. Steering wheel is going back on, so you just want to line it up. Basically, there's a little tab inside the steering wheel. You want to make sure that it is lined up with that. Grab the torque wrench, and I'm just torquing it up to 56 Newton meters. And lastly, just push that airbag back in. Connect the battery back up and start the car and make sure the paddles work. So I just gave the paddles a quick check and they're working as they should. It's time to take this out, see what the wheels look like outside the unit, get some nice shots and then go for a drive and give you a little review on what these paddles are like. What I'm really looking forward to is the new rubber on the car. The car before had P0s, which means after I tuned it to 640 brake horsepower, it become very sketchy driving with traction control off, because it would literally just light the rear wheels up completely. So now we've stepped up from a 295 tyre width on the back to a 305, and from a 245 on the front to a 255. As I said earlier, this car is running a Miltech exhaust. The valves are currently shut on it, but we're in dynamic mode. We'll give it a little. Oh mate, the grip, even from that. One thing I'm definitely noticing as well is the steering feels a lot more darty and direct, and I don't know whether that's because the wheels are lighter or just the fact that we've changed from a P0 to a PS4S, but I can definitely notice a bit of dartiness. Traction's off at the moment, let's give it a sending first. So gripped up, not an ounce of slip. Literally not an ounce of slip. I can't believe that. That's insane. And now onto the paddles. So the paddles feel miles better. It's lovely when you get that little click changing gears. I think one thing though, I think if you're using the paddles non-stop just to drive around, even when you're almost cruising, then they're going to get on your nerves, the sound of them. But if you use them primarily just for when you're driving fast, that shift feels so much more positive. I can't really get my foot down here at the moment because it's England and the roads are always completely rammed. The nice thing about the paddles as well is the size of them. As I said before, the stock ones were super small and it made it, I don't know, not difficult to shift, but you didn't really get nothing from it when you were shifting. So I think these are probably like one of the biggest game-changing mods that you notice the most getting in the car because of how bad the other ones were. And it's nice where they're a bit bigger and I put the bigger ones on, you you can shift with your fingers a little bit lower on the wheel. So say for instance you're just chilling and then you want to go for it. Like, you haven't constantly got to be like that when you're going through the gears. So I've just pulled up at a very nice location. Let's jump out of the car now and get some cinematics and show you guys what the car looks like now. If that is not a perfect set of wheels, I don't know what is. I knew they were going to look good, but I didn't think they would look as good as what they actually do. And the concave on them is actually very good. That's one thing I was really struggling with when trying to find R8 wheels. Seems like none of the R8 wheels have any concave, they're all really flat. Whereas we've even got a little bit of concave on the front. Massive thank you to Two Forge for sorting these out. I'm going to drop all of the wheel and tyre specs just up here because they'll be in stock and available at AUTOID if you want to purchase them. They're also fully customizable in terms of colours, paint, all the stuff like that. Now I'm looking at them in black. I feel like I could have got away with them being a silver. I think a silver would look really good, especially against the yellow as well. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, if you think that I could get away with doing a silver on these. Maybe like a hyper silver, so it's got a little bit of chrome effect to it. Genuinely cannot wait for next week when we put the full body kit on it. Obviously I couldn't do the steering wheel earlier, so I thought today I'm gonna do a little bit of a swing on this video. I wasn't planning to do this, but I get a lot of questions all the time because obviously I had the G82 M4 X-Drive, which was fully sent in modifications before picking this up. And I've had quite a few messages of people asking me, Nath, what's the R8 like compared to that? So I thought I would do a little rundown now after owning pretty much a dream car of mine for the first 2,000 miles. So I'm going to start with a question I get asked quite a lot. Do I miss the G82 M4? And the answer to that question is yes, I miss aspects of it. So this car being the type of car it isn't a car which I can just jump in and daily. Number one, because if I have a little knock or anything in it, it's going to be very expensive. Number two, mileage makes a much bigger difference on this than what it did on the G82 M4. And number three, it's actually a lot more expensive on fuel. And number four, it has no storage in it. Number five, the M4 in general is a much more sort of daily friendly car, just overall. But in terms of fun, this car is a different level. In terms of driving experience, it is still a different level. And there's something about driving a V10 which can't really be replicated, to be honest. As much as I've loved the sound of the Boost Logic exhaust on my G82 M4, it can't beat that. The sound that this car makes when you're driving it, I love the fact that it's NA and I love the fact that it's rear-wheel drive because it's very predictable. Even as I said earlier, driving in the car, fully traction control off with P0s, I had confidence in the car to let it spin and let it keep going because it tells you exactly what it's doing and the steering is phenomenal. So far we've done the wheels and tyres, suspension, exhaust and tuning. Next week it's getting a full body kit and I genuinely cannot wait. By the way guys, Jack has told me to tell you lot to stop subscribing to the YouTube channel because each subscriber he has to pay me an extra £1 and he said he's running out of money rapidly. So yeah, make sure you don't subscribe. Catch you guys on the next one.